So we're going to do a little bit of an extension on the waves here. This is what happens when a wave will meet a boundary, when two waves meet. This is all about the wave behaviour, what they do, how they act. So when a wave meets a boundary, three things can happen. It'll either bounce off a boundary, reflection, it will change its speed and direction, refraction, or the edges will bend across this object if there's a little gap. That's called diffraction. Reflection, light will come in or a wave will come this way, bounce it off and go back in another direction. That's all you need to know about reflection. You don't need to know about any angles or calculations, just that reflection means bouncing. Refraction simply means bending. Look at this. This pen is going this way, but it looks like it's over here. This is because the light has bent and changed direction as it goes from the air into the water. So this changes the speed and direction of the wave. Same thing will happen here, it will bend, and then going into glass, it will bend when it goes back into the air. Diffraction is if you have a little gap, you can see that the waves are coming across, coming close, and then going through, and you see these curves like this. Just like on this side, but facing the opposite direction now, you've got a big gap, just the edges have bent, just the edges. The middle is still a little bit straight. If you make the gap smaller, you will get a Wi-Fi signal. That's what it looks like. Bigger bends will go all the way around. This is diffraction, when waves bend around the edges. Then you also have something called interference, when two waves meet each other. If you have a small wave going to the right and a big wave going to the left, this is 1 unit tall, this is 2 units tall. They approach each other, they will meet. That means they will be constructive interference. They will get bigger. It'll total become 3 units tall. 1 plus 2 equals 3. And then they will carry on in their own way. Same thing happens if they're in opposite direction. You have 2 units tall, 1 unit short on this side. They meet, but now instead of being constructive, they cancel. They'll become destructive. This means that this final wave will be smaller. Subtract the two numbers and you will get this 1 unit on the tall side. And then we'll move along. Okay, looks a bit like this. They do the same, gets bigger and smaller, and they keep carrying on. This is what we call the superposition of waves, when two waves meet at the same place at the same time. Superposition. Interference, as I mentioned, there were 2 types. I said constructive and destructive. When the top meets the top, this will be full. If the top meets the bottom, they will cancel, it will become 0. So you get a wave that looks a bit like this. It can even create a standing wave, which we'll talk about later. So to look at this, constructive and destructive, they're both going. In this case, they meet and they keep going past. This is, of course, constructive because the final wave gets bigger. If the final wave gets smaller, it's destructive.